again. We're back, and we're continuing the program. Our next speaker is Susan Shu Chang, and the title of this talk is How Self-Directed Data Science Projects Help Me Break into the Field and Expand My Career. Data science field changes and shifts at an incredibly fast pace. Whether one is seeking to enter the field or is already a professional, it is worthwhile to design and complete self-directed projects. Susan is shipping ML at scale with immediate impact. She hosts ML live streams at AI Science. She has deployed machine learning recommender systems to millions of customers. She has also built a profitable video game studio with mentions of PC Gamer, Destructoid, etc. So, welcome, Susan. Uh,
Hello. Good afternoon,
Hello.
everyone. It's good to
Hi.
be here. So I am sharing my screen. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for the introduction. So good afternoon once again, and I'm very glad to be here today with you all at Data Science Conference Europe 2020. My name is Susan Shu Chang, and I'll be talking about how I used self-directed side projects to break into data science and machine learning field, and also continue to build up my career even after several years of professional experience. And of course, in this talk, I'll be showing you how it can benefit you too, whether you are a student or a professional. Just a little bit about myself. I currently work at Clearbank, which is a Canada and US based fintech company, also in venture capital, and I work there as a senior data scientist. So, what we do is we use machine learning to identify what kind of companies are good for the good to invest in and to be in the portfolio. And as mentioned in the introduction, I also am part of Aggregate Intellect, which is an online platform which interviews machine learning researchers from, say, Google or Uber AI when it was around, and Stanford, etc. And I am the reinforcement learning lead there, and I have done a lot of interviews as well as talks on reinforcement learning or recommender systems with Aggregate Intellect, and you can find all of their videos on the YouTube channel by searching Aggregate Intellect ML Papers Explained. And there are 12,000 and more YouTube subscribers, so that has been growing. And another fun fact is that I own a video game studio on the side as a hobby, and I developed the entire first commercial game by myself, and it has actually sold over 5,000 copies at around 10 USD per copy in 3 months since it launched on console. So while it was a passion project, I'm very happy with the results. And both in the fields of data science as well as in game development, I speak at multiple conferences like this one or Toronto Machine Learning Series, PyCon, etc. So today, what I'm going to be sharing with you there's three parts. So the first part is some of the challenges that we face in the data science field. The data science field changes and shifts at a really fast pace. And secondly, I will be talking about why self-directed projects or side projects can help you handle and manage this and stand out from the crowd. And kind of the third thing is an example of how I was doing it and how I have used it to not only break into the field, keep building my career, as well as specialize in the career. So it's suitable for not only professionals, but also students or people looking to transition into the data science field. So I will expand a little bit on that. So as I mentioned, in the data science and machine learning field, it is really, really fast paced, right? There are new technologies and frameworks coming out day by day, year by year. And, one day you might read that, oh, maybe I should use TensorFlow. And then now I'm reading that PyTorch is having really good improvements lately. Should I be learning this or that? Should I learn Spark? If I am used to using scikit-learn, should I learn something else? in order to keep up, right? There is a lot of change that's happening and a lot of improvements too, which is kind of what makes this field really exciting. And there are multiple subfields, right? There are NLP, reinforcement learning, recommender systems. It's not only just knowing about really general machine learning anymore that helps you get into the field. But nowadays, like even after working for some years in the field, I find that there are still ways to specialize. And there are, so for example, myself, I am more specialized in reinforcement learning and recommender systems, and I'm not so well versed in natural language processing fields at all. So there are a lot of things to do to demonstrate your skills in each of these subfields. So that's quite a lot for the job seeker or even the professional in the field. And the landscape of education is changing quite a bit too. Do you get a university degree? Do you, if you're transitioning from another field, do you go to a boot camp? Or do you take online courses like Coursera or other types of certifications? And I myself happen to have a bachelor's degree from University of Waterloo and a master's degree from University of Toronto, which are well-respected schools in Canada. So that did really help me. But the degrees were actually in economics. They were not in CS or stats. So if at the time I had thought, oh, should I go back to school and get another, let's say, a master's in computer science, I would really say to myself, no. And I did not do that, right? But my advice would remain the same. I would just do projects to demonstrate my skills in the field. So I will show you how exactly I did that from that time on to now. So I would say there are 3 types of benefits, and all of these reflect my personal experience. So the type 1 of people that side projects or self-directed data science projects can benefit is the new graduate, right? Like this person has just graduated from university and they hear that they need a master's degree or maybe a PhD to break into data science. And of course, there are many people with higher education that come from other fields like physics, economics, and so on, right? All of those, they might think, oh, should I actually get a degree in computer science, even though I have some other degree already, right? Or should I take online courses? The type 2 of people that side projects and self-directed projects could benefit are people who are doing career transitions. So maybe they were previously working as, let's say, web development. Maybe they were working in political science, some other type of field. And they think, oh, I don't really have experience in data science. And maybe I should take more Coursera courses, or maybe I can take some online boot camp because I don't have machine learning experience on my resume, right? I really need something to catch the recruiter's eye to give me a callback or phone interview. And after that, there is a third type of person that I would say side projects really benefit. And this was me probably a year ago or 2 years ago, professional looking to specialize. So let's say you are on a data science team and there are a smaller group of people working on a project that uses NLP. Maybe there's a group that works on recommender systems and there's a group that works on reinforcement learning. However, how do you get on those projects if you are more of a new hire? And how do you demonstrate that you can be given that responsibility, right? Or even for me right now, let's say I wanted to do something in NLP and I don't actually have experience in NLP. How would I show that I can be given that responsibility and that I am skilled enough in that subfield? So I would say that the answer to all of those 3 is self-directed projects. And then now I'm going to show you how exactly I used my self-directed side projects in data science and machine learning to demonstrate all of those skills from kind of the beginning of my career to more years later on in my career. So just a quick overview. You can see in this image, it's a very simple GAN. So it generates fake images of the American singer Ariana Grande. And I know that she is very well known in North America and other parts of the world. So maybe you have heard of her in Europe. And if not, just know that she is a singer, and then that I trained a GAN network to generate fake faces of her that were not in the training data. And I put this on my resume, as you can see on the bottom right, just in projects. And I was not able to show this GIF image on the resume. But even so, it helped the resume stand out from the crowd, and I got a lot of callbacks. Because for me right now, I have actually reviewed many, many resumes. I've reviewed hundreds of, probably thousands of resumes now in my professional work. And I am able to tell when projects are, to use the second point on this slide, if they're school assignments or they're online courses from Coursera, they're the projects from those courses, it actually ends up being the same or similar type of feeling as roughly hundreds of thousands of people. Like, even if it's a very difficult assignment or a capstone project for upper year courses, some of it will still overlap with other people, right? So I think the more unique the project is. So actually some capstones in fourth year are pretty good. But anything that more than like 20 to 50 people have done in the same class and over different universities, those I would say don't stand out as much. So for a new graduate, it's more beneficial to create a project of your own idea, and that has really, really high ROI. Because if I had only used school assignments or online course projects, even if I had tweaked it a little bit, right now as a resume reviewer, I can tell that that's where it came from, and that's almost the same as many, many other people, right? And again, like, jobs are more looking for people that are able to solve a project, solve a real life data science problem by themselves. They're not looking for people who does the most online courses, because if so, let's say we have someone who did 1,000 online courses, wouldn't they be getting hired everywhere, right? That's not really the thing that employers are looking for. So that's how side projects will benefit new grads. So now I'm going to be talking about how side projects can benefit people looking to transition in their career, right? So again, bringing it back to this project of generating fake face images of Ariana Grande, the singer, I had to do it from end to end, basically. I had to scrape images of the data. I actually used YOLO to box faces to use as training data. So I had to scrape images of people who were Ariana Grande and people who are not Ariana Grande. And then I also had to train a CNN classifier to actually automatically detect if it's Ariana Grande or not, right? In order to, I don't want to be manually tagging these faces and stuff like that. So I was able to solve this problem by using different types of machine learning. And there is no textbook solution to this. There is no professor to ask. There is no teaching assistant office hours. And then I deployed it onto a web app where someone could upload the image. The image would be taken to the backend on this server, like web app server, and then come back out with the results. So even though I would say the project is nowhere as close as a real work project that I am working on in my full time, this was just something that I just did for fun over 2 weekends, really. And it shows that I am able to take an end-to-end unclean data, or go from zero to maybe not 100, but zero to something, right? It's more similar to real life work than more basic Kaggle competition, where all of the data sets are quite similar and also clean. So for someone that's doing a career transition, I would argue that side projects are really important. So you could call them your portfolio or your project experience on your resume. Your data science portfolio is, it really demonstrates that you can solve a real life problem with different data science techniques, and not just the modeling part, but even data acquisition, as well as data cleaning, of course, and possibly the deployment too. And you don't have to be a 100 at all of those skills, because there are different roles, right? There are machine learning engineers, there are people who are more data analysts, and you can be all of those, right? But it shows that you can deal with an ambiguous situation that is more kind of unknown than a clean Kaggle competition or a class assignment. And I think Kaggle is a really good starting point, but then I find that even me and my fellow coworkers, when we are looking at resumes, they kind of start to blur together, because we can tell that they haven't needed to really go through the kind of more data cleaning and stuff like that, but they can do feature engineering with Kaggle data sets, and I think that's totally fine. So I think there are ways that you can make use of Kaggle data sets, as long as you keep in mind that you have to kind of make the problem a bit different, right? Because if 50 or 100 people are doing it, then it doesn't necessarily set a candidate apart. And this is the same for career transition people, right? And I think as long as you can demonstrate this, like whether you come from, let's say, web development, maybe you're coming from a sort of a political science field, or even like finance, I think it is good to create projects, and even a bonus if you're creating a data science project in your existing field, because domain knowledge is fairly important. So just to bring up an example, when I first joined telecommunications, so like providing internet or phone numbers, phone services, or TV services, cable TV. Before I joined telecom, I actually didn't really know how all of these were connected, and then I had to spend a month or two really ramping up to understand, how do I get an internet customer if they are also a TV customer? How do I find how they're joined together, and how does the business work? Domain knowledge is pretty important. So I find that for career transitioning professionals, I would also recommend in the side project, you can add the field that you are interested in, or that you have already been in order to get kind of the benefit of your domain knowledge. Yeah, so this could really demonstrate that even as a career transitioning person, and you didn't necessarily have full-time experience in data science, that you're able to carry out this work and be given this responsibility. So this third example I'm going to talk about how data science projects on my own time, as well as leading data science talks and giving talks as well, helped me at my own full-time work even after several years. So I mentioned before that I am part of Aggregate Intellect, which is a platform with a lot of speakers, a lot of talks, new research from leading organizations. And what we do is we have to reach out to them, and then we have to read all their research, so that we can interview them and prepare good questions, as well as respond to audience questions, right? Because if I hadn't read the paper really carefully, then I can't really manage and facilitate a conversation, really. So it helped me stay really up to date in recommender systems, as well as reinforcement learning. I mentioned those kind of in order, because at my full-time work, I actually first specialized in recommender systems. I built models, and I deployed them to online, and it's being used by millions of customers now. So that was one of my first large projects at work, and I was able to be on that project, even though I was not as tenured as some of the people in the team. I would say because of the technical leadership that I demonstrated from all of these talks, as well as some other projects that I did on the side that could demonstrate that, yes, I can handle this responsibility, even though there are more tenured people on the team, but I can handle such a wide scale project, and I could be trusted to be put on more specialized teams, right? So I did this. The image is one of a talk that I really enjoyed giving at Aggregate Intellect, which is on recommender systems as well as reinforcement learning. It was like a research done on YouTube's recommender system. So if I had to start again and do it, I would still do all these things on the side with my own time, doing side projects. And this has helped me specialize and be put on projects that require a lot of responsibility and specialized knowledge. And let's say, again, to bring up the example of NLP, let's say I wanted to join an NLP project and I have not exactly done NLP right now so far in my full time work, I would do some other project, probably make some other type of self-directed project in NLP, probably deploy it as well, and then that would definitely be able to show, hey, I can make a working NLP model and deploy it, right? So there's not really too much argument that I would be qualified to be placed on a project like that, given that I have created a successful side project. Yeah, so in conclusion, remember how I mentioned several challenges as well as the fast pace of the data science field, right? Throughout these days in the conference, you probably have seen talks on multiple fields, technologies, frameworks, different subfields, right? I could go on and on about this, but what we can all agree on is that the field is really exciting, precisely because it's so fast paced, but also that it is sometimes hard to keep up, right? And I think with side projects, it's a way, like a low risk way for you to demonstrate your skills and to grow skills in different technologies. And I know that it is higher effort, but it really helps someone stand out from the crowd, whether you are looking to break into the field, you're looking to career transition, or you're already a professional in the field and you want to specialize. I think regardless of what type you are, side projects are the much higher ROI way to do it. So that is my pitch and how I have used it, the personal examples of how my side projects have helped me be given much more responsibility, and be put into specialized projects and be able to deploy that and carry it to completion as well. So that concludes the talk. I really hope that you can find some topic you're interested in. You can find me on LinkedIn at Susan Shu Chang, and please include in your message that you're adding from this conference, because I do get some large amount of messages, and because I do several types of talks. Even in this month, I had quite a few talks, so some invites there. You can also find me on Twitter at Susan_Shuck. And to follow up on some of the information here, because I know that I've mentioned a lot of the benefits and how side projects has benefited me, but there are definitely a lot of fine details, like how do you find a project that is personal to you. This I write a lot about on my site, susanshu.com. I write a lot about data science and career. So if you're interested in just some more that I was unable to cover today, you could definitely check that out. So thanks once again for having me here. And that concludes my talk for now.
Thank you, Shu, for very inspirational talk. We have one question, and it's about like some other cool little side projects that you did. So if you can share uh, more of them.
Ooh, yeah. So apart from that one, the one that I showed, I actually did a series of them. So I guess the first one was a CNN classifier for the, I guess Ariana Grande faces, but then I used that as like an intermediate. So I used the first side project basically as a helper for the second side project, which is the GAN. And I've also tried out some things that have kind of failed too. So don't worry if that is an issue. So because I mentioned I also make video games, which is a separate endeavor from data science, but I've actually tried to put like NLP into the video game. It's kind of failed for now, but I've tried to do that. And so what I was trying to do is in the video game, first of all, it would I use like a oh my god, I think at the time I used like URL lib, which is probably not the best for like getting data from like let's say Wikipedia, and then it would show up on the game, and then I was supposed to try to add NLP to the data, so it would actually show up like in the game like a data that was grabbed from the live Wikipedia page. But then after that, I failed to get the NLP portion to work. So there are also things like that that I have done, and they are not really complete. So that is totally okay, and I have not published those yet. But they are kind of there's a list of projects that I'm working on.